This short film is all about grape production. Over the course of a year, we visited Franz Estate Winery several times with our cameras. There are lots of manual and mechanical work steps involved in ensuring a successful harvest. In this video, we're going to show you some of the latest equipment and venture onto some steep slopes to see it in action. We're out and about in the Württemberg wine-growing region, more specifically in Heilbronn land. Here, around 5,100 hectares of land is used to grow red wine grape varieties, and another 2,500 hectares are used to grow white wine grape varieties. The foundations for a high-yield and high-quality grape harvest are laid over winter. At the end of February, Daniel and Tobias from Franz Estate Winery took care of the vine pruning on their land. The two brothers run the family business together and provide agricultural contracting services. In comparison to arable farming, grape production requires a lot more working hours per hectare of cultivated land. Many growers are able to save a massive amount of time by using mechanical aids. However, in many places, the topography of the land, the variety of grape grown, or the quality requirements limit the use of machinery. An important prerequisite for the use of machines like this pre-pruner, for example, is having stable wire frames in place. Daniel cuts back the annual shoots uniformly. The handy thing about this machine is that the two counter-rotating cutter rollers open automatically when it reaches a post. The machine's camera system, which is supported by an LED headlight during periods of darkness, identifies obstacles and reacts in a flash. The machine also has an additional radar sensor, which determines the slippage values of the tractor when working on slopes. Working speeds of 5 kilometers an hour, or even more, can easily be reached. Binger Seilzug is a brand that is well known among wine growers, and it was acquired by ERO GmbH in 2006. Over the years, ERO has built up an extensive portfolio of machinery for wine production, including a range of modern grape harvesters. If you're interested in getting a look behind the scenes in the ERO factory, then check out our series on Kitzer Estate Winery. We've linked the videos in the description. There's still a lot to be done on the Franz Estate Winery. Removing the remaining wood from the wire frames is another laborious task that more often than not has to be done at the start of the year when weather conditions aren't ideal. The cane pruner VITECO makes this job a whole lot easier. Once Tobias has unhooked the staple and bending wires, his brother Daniel can start working on the row with the VITECO. The working head is hydraulically tilted so that the wires can pass through it. Behind the tractor is a PTO-driven hydraulic unit which provides the necessary hydraulic power needed to operate the VITECO. So that the wires can withstand the stress of very short line lengths, it can be a good idea to add springs. Franz Estate Winery cultivates 28 hectares of grapevines on the edge of Heilbronn. The business has been run by the Franz family for over 100 years. For their white grapes, they grow Riesling, Pinot Gris and Pinot Blanc, as well as Müller-Thurgau. When it comes to red grapes, they've opted for Trollinger, Blaufränkisch and Pinot Noir. The grapevine is a very vigorous plant and always tries to branch out as much as possible, a bit like liana vines that grow in tropical forests. If you don't cut grapevines back, like we showed earlier in the video, this can impact the yield and quality of the grapes. The shoots have to be bent after pruning and before budding. The vines are attached to the bending wires with a tool known as the belly binder. This ensures that the space on the trellis is optimally used and the grapes all hang at more or less the same height later on. The vines here are Trollinger vines, a traditional variety that wine connoisseurs will primarily associate with the Württemberg wine-growing region. The amount of land used to cultivate Trollinger grapes has actually been steadily decreasing over the past few years. The reason often given for this is that Trollinger is a relatively light red wine that has decreased in popularity over the years. This shows just how far ahead wine growers have to plan. Just a few hundred meters away, Franz Estate Winery is creating a new parcel. They have chosen to plant Pinot Blanc grapes here. Now, grapevines can easily be kept in production for over 30 years. Reasons for this new parcel could be due to the drop in yields, but also in the described changes in consumer purchasing behavior. Once the old vines have been pulled up and transported away, a deep and thorough soil cultivation is carried out. The tool of choice here is usually a spading machine, which loosens the soil at depths of up to 60 centimeters. A decent amount of horsepower is needed for this task, both to operate the spading machine and due to the sloping ground. Fabian works for Agrar- und Kommunalservice Ebert, an agricultural and municipal service provider in Schweigern, near Heilbronn. Depending on the variety, between 4,000 and 5,000 young vines are then planted per hectare and the wire frame set up. Depending on the conditions of the land, costs for setting up a new parcel can quickly rise to over 50,000 euros per hectare. It's the start of July, and we're heading back to Franz Estate Winery for the third time. Wet and cold weather encourages the development of downy mildew. In this case, however, the vines are being treated for rot. This and other treatments are applied with sprayers that have been specially designed for wine growing. The airflow from the blower opens the foliage and the preparation is applied to the site of action. Daniel is taking care of the pruning at the same time. He's using a dual trimmer from ERO. The aim of this task is to cut back any shoots that are sticking out and ensure that the grape zone is well ventilated. In the past, the shoots were simply attached between the staple wires by hand to stop them from bending in the wind. The structural shift in the agricultural sector is also affecting wine growers. In areas where machines reach their limits, or where operational structures do not allow for it, land often goes unused and is left fallow. Finding personnel for the plant care and harvesting work is becoming increasingly difficult and expensive. The limits of what is mechanically possible can be explored with a steep slope harvester like this one. In places where it is even difficult to stay on your feet, the specially developed machine can harvest line by line. At Franz Estate Winery, they work with an agricultural cooperative for the wine harvest. This CH500 is manufactured by CH Engineering from Rhineland-Palatinate. The tracked machine is guided by a cable and winch and can therefore move in and out of the rows independently. According to the manufacturer, it can be used on slopes with gradients of up to 75%, but lots of adjustments had to be made to the harvesting equipment during development to achieve this. In this particular case, the slope has a gradient of 45%. In mid-September, Franz Estate Winery is also running its own grape harvester. This machine is also used for agricultural contracting work. During our visit, we were able to film the latest generation of the ERO Grapeliner during a test run. We only have a few details about the new features of this machine to share at the moment. However, we do know that the new series will no longer have a 6-cylinder engine. We'd like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Herald Viticulture Services from Neckarsul, who went to great lengths to help us create this rare group photo with the new Grapeliner. In Germany, lots of wine growers supply winemaking cooperatives. Around a third of all grapes grown in the country go to these cooperatives. For this video, we were allowed to see the hallowed halls of the Heilbronn winemaking cooperative, which is where a part of the Franz Estate Winery's harvest goes. Over 1,400 members deliver their harvested grapes to the cooperative, the equivalent of around 1,400 hectares of grapevines. Once the grapes have been delivered, they are pressed. This is where the production processes for red and white wine differ slightly. Between 14 and 18 million kilos of grapes are processed here each year, producing around 13 million litres of wine. The next step in the modern production facility is the fermentation, which is mostly done in massive tanks. With white wine, only the juice is fermented, but with red wine, the grape skins are fermented too. Up to 8,000 bottles can be filled an hour by the Heilbronn winemaking cooperative. The wine is then sold under various brands and through direct sales and wholesale. We hope that this video has given you a good overview of the important work steps involved in the wine growing processes and the challenges that wine growers today face. Wine growing visits are always exciting for us, and we are always guaranteed to get some spectacular footage. If you're interested in learning more about wine growing, we've added some links to previous projects on the same subject filmed in South Africa and Chile in the video description for you. We'd like to finish by saying a massive thank you to everyone involved in this film project.